Campaigning kicking off for the May 9th elections in the Philippines. And after 6 years of hardline populist rule by Rodrigo Duterte, the early favorite, the son of late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, Ferdinand Boom Boom Marcos Jr., teaming up with the outgoing president's daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio. She is his vice presidential pick.
I said I will run because my intentions, my dream for our country is to unify the Filipino people.
This experience as a local chief executive and as a legislator is the kind of experience we need, not only to sustain the growth and development spurred by the current administration, but also to bring a more prosperous future.
For more, let's go to Washington. Zachary Abuzas, professor at the National War College, the author of Forging Peace in Southeast Asia, Insurgencies, Peace Process, and Reconciliation. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Can a Marcos really become president of the Philippines again?
Not only can he, it looks like he is going to do it. And current polling has him well over 50% of the popular support. And this is really unprecedented. Since the restoration of democracy in 1986, no presidential winner has polled above 42%, and three of them polled in 39%, including the current incumbent.
What is it? Is it a younger generation that doesn't remember the dictatorship?
Yeah, there is definitely that. The Philippines is a very young country in Southeast Asia. It has the fastest growing population, very high birth rates. So there is that generational amnesia. But I think you also have to understand that the Marcos dynasty has used their ill-gotten wealth very effectively. They have bought off members of the judiciary to turn a blind eye to things like Marcos being a convicted tax cheat, which should, by law, disqualify him from holding high office. And yet he has been a governor, he has been a senator, and now likely a presidential candidate. They have also effectively weaponized social media and done such a very effective job in whitewashing all the ill that his father did. There is just a collective amnesia and in the country, and so much of it is being driven by high rates of social media usage.
And he, as you say, he's a convicted tax cheat. Is there still a sort of Damocles over his head? Could his candidacy be invalidated?
Yes, that is still possible. The court has ruled once so far that he is clear, but there are many people are filing cases and they keep on working their way through the courts. So I think there are still two more cases right now that are ongoing that have yet to be decided. But it's hard to see him losing those after the first victory.
And if ever that unlikely scenario that his candidacy is rejected, would that mean that Sara Duterte would step up and become the immediate favorite?
I am not sure. If he were elected and then disqualified, then she could become president. But she's running as a vice presidential candidate. Her paperwork is filed as a vice presidential candidate. So I don't think she can quickly step up.
A lot of time between now and May the 9th. Is there a chance that the opposition to this ticket could coalesce?
Well, we have to, if you go back to 2016, Duterte was not the highest in the polls, but in a six-way race, he snuck through with 39% of the vote. The problem right now is that you have four other people vying to be the president, and no one is going to bow out for the sake of the opposition. They're all rivals. They all believe they should be the front runner, that they should get everyone else to bow out on their behalf. And the other thing is that the people that support them are really a different groups. It's not clear that if one of the opposition candidates bowed out, that their supporters would stay in the opposition, that they wouldn't go to Marcos.
Well, for instance, you have the outgoing vice president, Leni Robredo, and she is somebody who is staunchly, outspokenly against this Marcos Duterte ticket. Surely, her supporters would vote against that ticket, right?
Right. She's really the exception to this. I mean, she is clearly the most qualified candidate. She is the establishment candidate. She is not a populist. Has very sound policies. She's committed to democracy. She's against the populist authoritarianism of Duterte and potentially Marcos. So her supporters are going to stick with her to the end. But it would be someone like Manny Pacquiao, who for many years was a very close Duterte supporter. He now is in the opposition, but polling only about 8%. I doubt his supporters would join Leni Robredo. I would see them much more likely to go to Bongbong Marcos.
And Bongbong Marcos, you said earlier, much savvier, it seems, or a very powerful social media machine. Leni Robredo, who's been trying to counter, I know there's this hashtag, Kule Rosas ang Bukas, the future is color pink. How is she doing on that score?
Not as well as you would expect. I mean, you would think the only female candidate would do poll better with women, but the strongmen have a lot of appeal. The Philippines has a lot of. There are kind of two ways to the top of the ticket in the Philippines, and the first is either you have nationwide recognition because you were a movie star. We've seen presidents like that. One of the other presidential candidates was a former teen idol, or you come from a political dynasty. And Leni Robredo is kind of the rare exception that she just kind of worked her way up through politics, through her performance, good policies, good record as a legislator. She really is not polling as well as she should, even though many people really think that she is the best qualified candidate in the field.
So if we follow your precept here, Zachary Abuza, that you're either from a political dynasty or a celebrity, well, then surely the name that's known worldwide is boxing legend Manny Pacquiao. Shouldn't he be walking away with this?
He certainly is not doing nearly as well as anyone expected. He definitely has name recognition. He is a national hero. But I do think that many people are concerned that he had an absolutely terrible record as a member of the Senate. He often wasn't there. He was training. He was fighting around the world. He has no legislation to his name. And so this is kind of the one example where there is a bit of a disconnect between someone with nationwide recognition and yet not polling as well as they should. The appeal of the Marcos clan, the ability to use their wealth to buy votes, to win support, is very strong. Pacquiao just does not have those financial resources.
One final question for you. If Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos does win, what does that mean for democracy in the Philippines?
It's not going to be great. He definitely shares some of the populist authoritarian tendencies of Duterte. I don't think it will be quite as excessive with things like the war on drugs. But Bongbong Marcos has made it very clear that his foreign policy is going to continue with Duterte's, be much more pro-China, pro-authoritarian. less dependent on the United States, less committed to democracy, rules, norms, and values.
Zachary Abuza, professor at the National War College. Thank you for speaking with us from Washington.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.